Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it, you already know. Like a torta with some bad habits. This ain't no laughing matter. Let's get straight to the intro. Welcome back to Gunners Collective TV. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content that the gun is kicking. I'm very humbled and appreciative, man, especially in times and stories like this. Makes me very, very appreciative to even be alive, because there's others that are more deserving. Believe that. But karma will catch up to me. So I don't know if you've been watching the internet lately. You are right now. There's a lot going on in this world. And there's monsters among us. Monsters among us, man. And these are the type of people, the poster childs, the ones that we want out the way. I don't wish death upon anyone or any type of violence, but at the end of the day, these are the type of individuals that we can definitely do without because they are monsters to society, monsters to the community. And it's a tragic and crazy story. So I'm sure you've heard of it. This is my 2 cents and my perspective into what's going to happen to this guy if convicted of these crimes. Now, this young kid from Lancaster, a soccer player, 13 years old, minding his own business, living his dream. A kid doesn't quite know how far he's going to go in the future, definitely not going to the past, and runs into, by coincidence, this monster who decides that if for no other reason to befriend this kid and start spinning him up. Now, these guys are born with a disease. They're born with a mental disability. It's a screw loose. Something is wrong with these guys who are predators. They prey on youngsters. Now, this guy's fetish was young boys. And everything is alleged at this point, but the evidence is overwhelming. This kid came up missing. He was on the soccer field and was last seen by his family on that soccer field. And next thing you know, he's gone, just like that. Now, more of the story's been told. It's all alleged that this guy befriended this kid under the disguise of a soccer coach. Now, of course, this kid had dreams of becoming a big soccer player. And when people like this approach you, and this is a word to the wise, this is some knowledge you can't get in college, is some game. This is why you have to teach your children to not speak to strangers, to not listen or believe in what people are saying, because there's a lot of people out there that are going to manipulate. They got maniacal ways of thinking. And so this guy convinced that this young kid that he was a soccer coach, that he could do some personal training. And this kid believed him. So I guess the conversation was had for this kid to pull up to his home. What he couldn't teach him right there on that soccer field, one never knows, does one. But he promised them, made him a lot of promises to pull up to his home. He would do personal training. And this kid asked his family, and his family became suspicious of the fact that this man, this grown man, this 43-year-old man would approach a 13-year-old kid and tell him to come to his home. And this kid believed in this guy. They're very believable, these monsters. They trick kids because they know they're easily manipulated, and not a lot are laced up or smart enough to understand that an adult has a different way of thinking, especially someone like this. And so this kid goes to his family and asks for permission to go to his home. They say no. He goes anyways, jumps on a bus, a train, or whatever it may be, and shows up, and they never see him again. Now, ultimately, his family put out missing reports, and they were looking for him. 2 days later, he was found dead in Oxnard, California. His body was discovered, and this guy was the last one seen speaking to him. Now, this guy just he was under suspicion. It wasn't like for sure he did this, but then other cases started to pop up, and many more cases are starting to pop up subsequently since then of this guy and the bad things he's done to kids that are about the same age, all young boys. Now, as they started to look into this guy's background, they discovered he had warrants out for his arrest for other SA things that he was doing, and they arrested him. Now he's been charged with this murder in the last couple of days, and there's a lot of more information coming out. There's information that he's actually an illegal, undocumented, from El Salvador. So to me, this guy is a perfect candidate to go to that super prison in El Salvador, and let's just forget about him. If this is the type of person that is illegal and is preying upon our people, and let's take away the illegal part of it, just preying upon our children, he needs to go. He needs to go fast. But what's ultimately going to happen is this. This is what I think is going to happen. Now, there's a lot of different twists to this story because this guy is still innocent until proven guilty, no matter what. Until they get a confession or until he's tried and convicted, he's still, because he's in the state of California, because he's in the United States, does have what you would call due process. So he's going to go to court. He's going to get a lawyer. He's going to get to plead his case. But, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out this guy was somehow, some way involved in the disappearance and murder of this child. Now, it's upsetting because the community is tripping. It's made national news. The family is devastated. And no one can place blame on this kid. This kid was just doing what he thought was right. He was just being himself. It's predators like this and guys like this that manipulate that are truly to blame. And it's the community as a whole that's to blame. And it's also law enforcement who's to blame because they allowed this monster to be freed, even being illegal, man. They allowed him to go back out onto the streets to cause more terror, to get a hold of more youngsters, and to do bad things to him. So it was a failure by all parts, except for the kid. At no point in time was he a failure. Yes, he didn't listen. He should have listened. That's why you have to raise your children to listen, and no means no. But at the same time, I'm placing no blame on him. He got caught up in an unfortunate situation with a very unfortunate monster, a person, right? I'm not going to say his name because he gets nothing, but it's right there on the screen, for those that could read. Now, I don't want to speak his name and give him that energy. Now, this guy quite possibly could be extradited back to El Salvador since he's a citizen of El Salvador, and of course, placed into that Supermax prison. I believe this is the perfect example of someone that needs to go there, do life, get his head shaved, go nuts to butts, get drugged with the rest of the supposed criminals. These are the guys that should be gone. Not a guy with a tattoo on him, not an ex-gang member, not a dude who's trying to change his life, but just gets caught up because he has a cross tattooed in the middle of his forehead. No, guys like this that are preying on youngsters in society, people that can't fight back, people that don't know better. These guys are the predators. Now, if for some reason it comes out that he is not illegal, then he will have to go through the judicial system in the state of California. And if found guilty, he will be, because it's a murder case, not necessarily the SA part of it, because them guys get a slap on the wrist and get let right back out, it seems. But because of the murder, they are looking at a capital punishment. Now, I don't know if he's going to see the capital punishment. I think he'll get a murder one. And if he is convicted, if there's enough evidence to convict him, he'll definitely go to the SNY yard. Now, there's a lot of people that are saying, oh, people are going to be waiting on him in the California prison system. They're going to be waiting specifically for this guy. I'm here to tell you, I'm not here to break hearts or give you bullshit. I'm not going to add no preservatives. I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. You have monsters like the stepfather of Gabriel Fernandez that's still walking the yard in Corcoran. Yeah, he's got touched up a couple times, just like his girl Pearl got touched up in Valley State Prison for Women a couple times, but they're still alive. They're still breathing. They're still getting chow time. They're still getting programs. They're still walking around. Gabriel's not. So there was no one waiting there with big knives and battery packs and razor blades for them. Not at all, right? Danny Masterson, we all know who he is from that 70s shows, was convicted of several, how do they say it now? Grapes, because you can only say certain things. He was convicted. There's a lot of people, a lot of speculation there, people saying that it was more than what it seemed. Regardless, he was convicted. He got his hair pulled in Corcoran and then ended up in CMC, chilling with the old men, pushing people around in wheelchairs. No one is touching him. Nothing bad is happening to him. So this misconception that when these essays, when I say essays, I don't mean like, what's up, Bessie? I mean SAs, or SOs, excuse me. When these SOs go to prison, these weirdos, they don't automatically get touched. Now, on an SNY yard, it's open season. There's a possibility that they can trip on him depending upon who's his cellie, where he goes, what yard he goes to, what level. Of course, if he gets convicted of a murder 1, he's definitely going to be a level 4, and all the other different crimes. But it's not like people are sitting there waiting specifically for this man. It's not the way it works. Now, a lot of people see stories. They see social media. They got phones. They got tablets now, the news. So best believe there's people that are waiting as far as like, man, I wonder if I'm going to run into this guy. But you truly got to question yourself, what interest do they have in doing something to someone? Unless a lot of these guys that get killed behind the walls for being weird is because the guys that do it were either touched when they were kids, or they have families, they have loved ones that were involved in a situation, an unfortunate situation, and so they feel some type of way. But it's just not like an automatic thing that's going to happen. Now, if this guy went to general population, which he will not, of course, upon arrival, and it's not because specifically what he did to this kid, allegedly. It's more so because of the type of person or the type of individual he is. Straight up. That's why. They don't look at the victim. They look at the victimizer. That's how that goes. Now, on SNY, it's a different story. He goes over there. Depending upon, they might put him on a softer yard, like a Danny Masterson type yard, or where Gabriel Fernandez is, softer than Charmin, right? People might just let this dude walk the yard and say, oh, look, that's the guy that did that to that kid, whatever. Unfortunate as it sounds, that's the way it is. You can't expect criminals to be heroes or to do something, that should be done or people want to be done, because what you want is the last thing you're going to get. Negative and positive. That's how it works, right? Now, I think it's an unfortunate situation, but it's bringing a lot of awareness. Awareness to 2 things. 1, hug your kids. Teach them. Let them know don't trust anyone. Let them know that people come in all, snakes come in all shapes and sizes and forms. Teachers, police officers, all these people that are manipulating or faking the funk could actually be someone who has bad intentions towards the child. So you got to teach your kids. All the lacing up in the game doesn't start in the streets or in the barrios or in the hoods. It starts in the home with the parents. If you teach your kids the ways of how people really are and stop sugarcoating shit and be nice and be kind. Yes, be all that, but be aware more so than anything, because we live in a different type of world, a sinister world. That's a fact, right? This is real game. Now, this guy right here, this wasn't his first rodeo. Sheila wasn't his first rodeo burger. This guy right here has several cases, and more people are speaking up as he's being recognized because his picture is being shown on all different news networks, all throughout social media. He's being recognized, and people are coming out the woodworks. This guy's going to do all day. Okay, even if he doesn't get convicted on this case with this child, he's going to do all day just based upon other things that he's done. I myself don't believe our taxpayers here in the United States need to pay for another meal for this guy. I think we need to get this fucker up out of here to El Salvador. He needs to go to that Supermax prison. It was built for people just like him. And he could sit down bald all day with his dick rubbing up against someone's ass and someone against his, and realize the situation that he has caused, the chaos that he has caused, the families that are mourning, the people that are scared to let their children ride bikes. It's all because of people like him. I have no sympathy for monsters like this. Not whatsoever, not at all. None. 0. Right? These are the type of scourge of the world that, regardless if they have some type of mental issues or their heads not on right, I don't care. There's no fucking excuse. Okay, this poor kid thought he was going to learn how to play soccer, thought he had a big life ahead of him, had dreams, and them dreams are done because some weirdo wanted to get his rocks off. Now, of course, this case is ongoing, and there's going to be a lot more to it, a lot of twists and turns. But ultimately, I'm here to tell you, having been in prison for 19 years total in my life, I know the way all yards work. If this guy somehow slips through the cracks, and best believe, a lot of the CEOs, man, don't like these type of weirdos. So there are ways in the county jail, in the hole, that he can slip through certain cracks and fall and not be able to get up. But if this guy is protected and put on an SNY yard, it's not automatic that someone's going to blast him. But there is a situation now where I'm looking at what's going on in the CDC, especially places like Mill Creek, which is a very, very well-known SNY yard there in Mill Creek, there's been more murders in that yard. They're almost competing with New Folsom, right? They're doing their thing over there. A lot of dudes are getting hit. So if he's placed on a yard like that or wherever, yeah, it could be all bad for him. But they're not going to get him specifically because of this child, which is unfortunate, but that's just how that goes, right? So the reason I wanted to do this video more so is to bring awareness and to speak on something that's out there. You know, I didn't even want to give this guy no clout, because these situations right here, man, it makes a motherfucker get Oscar sick to their stomach to think about the kid's last moments, all because of a sicko. You know, these are the type of people, I can't even call them human, right? Inhuman, that are going to reap what he sows. Karma's going to catch up to him swiftly, more swiftly, hopefully, than anything. But as far as where he would go, if he is convicted, he will go to an SNY yard. They would never put someone with these type of charges or someone who done this on a main line on a general population yard, because he wouldn't last 5 minutes. And in the SNY yard, there's a quite possibility that he won't even last 5 minutes there. But to be totally honest with you, I think he'll go there and he'll be gawked at and looked at more so than scratched or touched. And that's just the truth. It doesn't mean dudes over there are punks or suckers, but there's a lot of individuals that are on those yards because they want to program and just get out the way. There's a lot of dudes that are over there and they figure, hey, that's none of my business. He's not my people. Why am I going to do that? Well, at the end of the day, if you're on those SNY yards, you have no people unless you're part of a dropout gang or whatever. And then it's make believe and you believe you're something you're not. You're still pretending to be. But this guy definitely, you know, is someone who is a poster child of exactly in this country what people have been saying we don't need, you know, and it's just a crazy situation. Anyways, with that being said, man, I'm gonna go ahead and end this one here. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think that this guy should be shipped to that Supermax in El Salvador? I believe so. He's El Salvadorian right off the top. If he is an illegal immigrant, then fuck the trial. Stop wasting taxpayers' money. We don't need any of that. There's enough evidence already with other cases, not even this one, to say get him up out of here. And for those of you that don't know the story, man, you can go to Dub's channel. He did a video on it, the Dub S World. Go tap in there. There's several videos based upon what happened. You know, and like I said, a quick recap. This kid, man, didn't listen to his family and somehow found his way to this guy's home in Lancaster. And 2 days later, 3 days later, they found his body in Oxnard, California, several hundred miles away from where he went. This guy was trying to get rid of the evidence and decided to dump him there. If truly this guy is the one who did it, I don't think there's a doubt in anyone's mind right now exactly what it is, what time it is. Anyways, with that being said, thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what we truly believe in, and that's the betterment of all people. And I say that to say this. Hug your loved ones. Hug your kids, man. Teach them that just because someone says there's something, 9 times out of 10, they're not that. Same thing goes right here on YouTube and any social media platform. Motherfuckers can pretend to be anything they want to be and tell you whatever story they want to tell you. Does it ring true? Most of the time it doesn't. It's up to you and what you believe in. And that's real game. That's the knowledge you can't get in college.